This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. Jolene, can you take the roll?
Yes, Trustee Lee Reader.
Present.
Gilbert.
Present.
Abdus.
I am here.
Thank you. Baines.
Present.
Baines present. Miranda's.
Miranda's here.
Thank you. Perez.
Present.
Thank you. Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
On to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Tom, will you lead us in the pledge?
Okay.
Elena, real quick, there's a motion and a second. We need a roll call vote on the approval of agenda.
Okay. Jolene, can you take the roll?
Yes, Trustee Lee Reader.
Aye.
Lee Reader, aye. Gilbert.
Aye.
Gilbert, aye. Abdus.
Aye.
Abdus, aye. Baines.
Aye.
Baines, aye. Miranda's.
Aye.
Miranda's, aye. Perez.
Aye.
Perez, aye. Smith.
Aye.
Smith, aye. Thank you. Motion's approved.
Oh, wow. Tom, you're not wearing the shirt.
No, I couldn't find my shirt, but can you see the flag?
I can.
Yes.
All right, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
All right. Does anyone have any conflict of interest in today's agenda? Hearing none. Okay. Kevin, do we have any scheduled presentations?
Done today.
Okay. Any public comments? Hearing none, then let's jump on to informational items. Kevin, General Manager's report.
Yeah, thanks, Elena. Good morning, everyone. General Manager's report for December 2022 and since the last board meeting. A couple items that I want to update you on since the first of the year that aren't in the report are the events that have occurred over the last couple weeks now since New Year's. We've had significant trouble with our infrastructure due to wind and power outages. And so right now we do have a current situation at pumping plant 2. And the Corps is still occupying pumping plant 3 and 4, and plant 2 is the only other facility that we have in the upper quadrant, North County on the western side of the district. And so we did have a major failure at pumping plant 2 earlier this week, where we had a voltage spike come through and damage the bus bar, so the in-feeding line to the pumps. And fortunately, we were able to get power restored from SMUD, repair the bus bar for the smaller pump at pumping plant 2. So we have 200 horsepower pump running there, but our 400 horsepower pump is offline until we can get equipment and replacement parts to repair that. So we've requested from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to bring in backup generation to power up pumping plant 4, which is ready to go, but we've been waiting on supplied power from PG&E for quite some time now. And then pumping plant 3 is in a similar situation where we need to do pump testing before the Corps turns it over to us. So the Corps has agreed to start the process to bring in a backup generator for pumping plant 4 and start warming up. They've authorized Siblon Reed to start warming up the pumps, and they're bringing their generator. It's somewhere in the United States, but it won't be here until probably the middle of next week, right, before they can transport it. But we'll start warming up the pumps before we fire them up on backup generation. That was a recommendation. So the commanders authorized rather $500,000 for this project to bring the generator out to us, and then obviously we'll supply the fuel. So that's a big sign of relief. We have been in contact with Sac County OES if we weren't able to locate a generator. they could, put their feelers out as well. And we were able to locate a rental generator, but that again, similarly placed, it will take some time to get here if the Corps didn't come through. So we just heard, late yesterday evening that the Corps had authorized that and they're putting that into motion. So we are prepared. We had some assistance from other internal agencies to route some water around for us. We were concerned about inundation and backing up water to the airport, but those water levels are really far down at this point. Creative thinking through our operations staff, and we're in good position at this time for the weekend. However, these events continue to accumulate back to back like they have, and we continue to have power failure. That's our biggest concern right now. The exterior levee system is performing as expected, not concerned. The causeway or the yellow bypass is flowing water now. Largely that's coming from the Fremont Weir. And so I just wanted to update you on that. It has been a bit of a trying winter, and we've been doing a lot of media interviews and requests for interviews. So the other update I want to provide you, we finalized the Prop 218 ballot with legal yesterday. We shipped it off to the printer, ensured that our database matched up in all the form fields. And so those will be starting to be printed tomorrow. And with the holiday on Monday, they'll probably drop into the mail starting on Tuesday. So well in advance of our 45-day requirement for the March 10th return of ballots. So that's progressing really well. And then lastly, we have started looking into, this is a minor item, but we have started looking into digital business cards. And there's a couple different options. And what this allows us to do is obviously not print business cards, but we could issue them potentially to trustees as well for whoever wants one. And so it basically works like it has a QR code on it, as well as like a tap function. And so if a trustee ever resigned or wasn't reelected and that termed out, they would return that business card with their iPad and everything else. So it's no longer floating out there for business cards when you're no longer associated with the district. So there's two different business card companies that I've researched that look promising. They range each card from about $45 to $80, and basically it looks like a credit card, so it just slips in your wallet. But there's some controls and you can set up the profiles. So I'm going to beta test the two different versions and come back and make a recommendation for the board. And that card, there's no annual subscription or monthly fee for that, and it just sits there. And the nice thing is when you tap that card or do the QR code, if you're meeting with someone, it'll have all the social pages for the district, so they can start following us there. So it'll really help on our public outreach as well. So I'm going to purchase the two different ones, a singular card, and test that out, and I'll report back to the board. That's all I have, unless there's questions on the GM report.
I have some comments, Kevin. Thank you for that. First off, I think, the issue with the generator from the Corps. First of all, I want to thank the Corps, obviously, for backfilling that need. It really underscores what we're trying to do with the fee and really equip the district for, situations like that are being presented this winter, right? Which was not totally out of the realm of expectation, but it has hit us pretty hard here. But thankfully, all our facilities are holding up and in an acceptable condition. But I think it just underscores the need to invest in our own generators for at least some of our more widely utilized plants. So I will say on those cards, I actually have one of the dot cards. I have.
Oh, great. That was one of the companies that I was that's one of them. Yep.
Yeah, actually, it has a credit card feature with the QR code, but I actually get this little dot thing that it's a sticker that you put on your cell phone, and I've used it. I have found it is convenient, but there are times when you kind of still want a card. And I kind of noticed it with more late adopters to technology. So
Right.
without being an ageist, there are some Luddites out there that it is kind of has presented some awkwardness. But I think the idea is a good one. But anyway.
Yeah, Nick. So the other thought was to still purchase some blank RD1000 cards. And if you need to hand one of those out, that you could write your phone number on there, like your name and number, but it's not specific. So we have coverage. If you want to hand somebody a card, I'll have the office number and you can handwrite on the back. So we'll come back, but yeah, that I understand about the late adopters of technology. So,
and also I think Gabe's on, but Gabe, please pass on to the crews how much we appreciate them. This is where the rubber meets the road in terms of fulfilling our mission. And I know the guys out there are working their butts off, and it is acknowledged and appreciated. So, all right, thanks.
Kevin, I just want to say you and Gabe have done a phenomenal job with ABC 10 and CBS and just really getting our message out there, because a lot of people, don't understand what we do, and it's not the sexiest topic on the planet, right? And when the going gets tough, lives are at risk, right? And so I just want to say you guys have done a great job. I want to say thank you for, starting the patrols early, even during New Year's Eve, when, other families are celebrating, our field crews out there making sure we're safe. And so I really appreciate that as well. And please share that with the crew.
thanks, Elena. Absolutely.
Kevin, I had one question. Since we've started the levee patrol 24/7, is there a daily report that you get, or in terms of anything that they've seen?
Yeah, so one of the things, and this is actually, Gabe brought this to the district that we've implemented for this year. We've started using WhatsApp, and you can set up, and I'd never used it before, but it's a really convenient tool. So we've created a group for WhatsApp. So at the end of shift, and in fact, Gabe and I developed a form for the crews yesterday. So they can fill out and give Gabe and I a daily status report of what's happening. Keep in mind, Tom, if there's a major event, the Board of Trustees will be the first to know. And so you won't receive the daily report of what's going on. I mean, it's really far down in the weeds. But if there is a major event that we think is pending, then you need to be aware. You guys will be the first to know. But the WhatsApp application has been really helpful, and Gabe and I'll check it, and we'll get an alert in the middle of the night as well if the crews see anything, so we can take swift action. It's really been kind of a game changer for us.
I was wondering, is there something that the public could get on our website on a daily basis that basically says, we patrolled, nothing was found, or something that would, I guess, reinforce the fact that we're out there looking on a 24/7 basis?
Yeah, Tom, that's a great suggestion. There are resources that the city, county, and state put out as far as monitoring river levels. But when we're on 24/7 patrol, we're stretched pretty thin resource-wise, especially when we have events. So to take the time to make the post, we just don't have that resource allocation at this time, or the budget. So we're kind of hands-on right now. In the future, what we would like to do as part of the CIP plan, and it's in the CIP plan, is to put more drain monitors out and create kind of a real-time network of all the creeks and drainages within the district, and be able to put that up so it just feeds in from our SCADA system, so people can look at the drain levels and whether pumps are running or not. And that's something we'll get into as design, but obviously we don't have the funding right now for that. But it's a great suggestion, and I love it. It's just at this time we don't have that capability.
Okay, all right.
Hey, Kevin, it's Ed.
Hi.
Yeah, just wanted to thank you and Gabe as well for that tour you gave us. Tom Smith and I really enjoyed it, and it was pretty eye-opening. So when when you talk about monitoring, I mean, what a visual. I think at our first gate, we were delayed because there was somebody having a barbecue right in the middle of the gate. So,
Well put.
and I can just imagine when we have a real emergency and we need to get in there. So I really appreciate that. I want to piggyback on what Elena said about the outreach. The interviews definitely are very helpful. And I tell you, this storm, you couldn't find a better way to try to explain the need for the CIP than this storm. I mean, people are talking about flooding and flood control. So when those ballots hit, it's literally going to hit home why it's important. So again, appreciate that tour.
Yeah, no problem. And as I mentioned, the ballots will be hitting people's mailboxes next week. So if you do get contacted by a constituent and they have questions, you can always refer them to fornatomas.org. I have my teacup here, fornatomas.org, but also give them our office number or my email address, and I'd be happy to provide any detail that they need and walk them through and explain. You're also welcome if you get requests to give a presentation at a community group or something like that, forward it on to me, and I'll be happy to sit down and meet with them prior to March 10th when the ballots are due back. So I have with my outreach team, we've developed a number of different presentations targeted at various groups and how the proposed fee impacts them. But you're right, the timing is very, very fortunate and beneficial for RD1000. I mean, unfortunately, though, there was catastrophe just down the street from us and loss of life. But it really hits home. It's like we need this funding. So I appreciate the positive feedback. And as I said, if you get requests from the communities when those ballots hit out, put them in touch with me and we'll get something set up to explain them.
And by the way, it was great to see Nick's backyard during that tour. So.
Oh yeah, Nick, we drove down East Levy Road and I just pointed out, I was like, oh, that's where Trustee Abdus resides. So your irrigated pasture looked really irrigated right now.
Yeah, totally. It's very irrigated, though it's drained pretty well. I will say that now, but waiting for the next wave this weekend. So
right.
Should have stopped by and said hi.
You were at work.
Oh, all
Your
right.
truck was gone.
No.
Any other questions on the general manager's report? If not, I'll turn it back over to President Lee Reeder.
Does Gabe have any updates or Scott?
Oh, we'll get to it on item 4.2 on the ops report.
All right, let's go to the consent calendar.
Oh, sorry, operations manager's report 4.2. Or did you just want to do all the, informational items at the same time, Elena? Sorry.
Let's just knock it all out at one shot.
All right, here we go. Gabe, go ahead if you want to present anything other than what's on your report, and then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say in regards to the report. We've just really been really busy with the homeless activity. Obviously, as you can see within the ops manager report, spent a lot of time on cleanups. Obviously, right now we're really doing a lot of monitoring, inspections. So yeah, nothing really more to add. Just been really busy with an abundance of homeless encampments, but that was prior to the storm event. So right now we're just a lot of inspections. So there's really not a whole lot to add, more than what you see.
Thanks, Gabe. And then Nick, this is just part of that. I think you already knew, but this was the first cleanup behind Home Depot. And then we moved up to NIMDEC as well. And so that partnership with the city has been fantastic in them implementing the city ordinance. Obviously at this time, we're not doing any of the cleanup because we're on 24/7 patrol. And so we've suspended activity there. we're still doing our monitoring, and hopefully, we're talking to folks and keep them moved off. Every time we've passed through, there have been people there, at least on my drives through, to move stuff out, but it still delays. They have to get out of their tents or, wherever they're at and start moving stuff. So as Ed mentioned, and he saw, it just slows us down. So, and it was the same thing when ABC 10 was out, same thing. We sat there and waited for 10 minutes for someone to move out of the way. Fortunately, it was during daylight. And so anyway, those are the cleanups. Thanks, Gabe. Are there any questions for Gabe on his ops report? Hearing none, we'll go to 4.3, and then I'll turn it back to you, Elena, after Rebecca or Scott is done giving their report.
Good morning. So as Kevin mentioned, ballots are approved and we'll expect to see them going out in the mail next week. Kind of moving steadily along on your your proposed fee levy. Again, that hearing is going to be March 10th. A reminder for trustees that we are nearing the end of the AB 361 period. That remote participation option will be modified at the end of February of this year. And so the new option that the legislature has offered is frankly a little convoluted and difficult. So our basic recommendation to trustees, and I know Kevin is sort of ground testing our Zoom and hybrid meetings options, are if you're not able to attend a meeting in person coming into next year, coordinate closely with staff so that we can get appropriate postings done, appropriate disclosures done, and make sure that you're well within the bounds of where you need to be. So.
Thanks, Rebecca. I do want to add, we are geared up. We're still doing some testing on our boardroom with our camera and the AV system that's been installed. We're doing some troubleshooting to make sure that the sound in the room, there's a bit of an echo, so they're fine tuning that. Next month's meeting, I will be in the boardroom with staff and we can test those mics, and if need be, we can retreat to our offices if it doesn't work, but we are geared up to do a hybrid option starting in March. And so we'll final test if we do have issues at the February meeting with just having a few people in the room. But you guys can all still be remote, and then we'll start the hybrid in March. So thanks, Rebecca, on that. Any questions for Scott or Rebecca from the board? Hearing none, back to you.
Okay, on to the consent calendar. Can I entertain a motion?
Before that, Elena, I do want to point out on item 5.4, there are some budget items on 5.4, namely outreach, election, that are trending above the budget projections. A lot of that's due to, obviously, we had a lot of return and a lot of coordination on the budget, or I'm sorry, on the election. The count took a lot of time as well. We did do a postcard for outreach and some of those efforts. So I under budgeted probably for the election, especially for an assessment election. I'm sorry, this was a partial election, but we did have more election expense, but I thought it was beneficial based on the feedback we got from the 2020 election. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing that outreach. And in general on the outreach, we've been spending a lot of time with the graphics teams and doing op-eds and making sure we get this messaging out for Natomas, and wasn't quite sure at budget time what that program was going to look like or require, but that should start slowing down significantly once we get past March 10th. So there shouldn't be much more ad spend or any of that stuff once we get past the 218 election. So I just wanted to point those out on item 5.4. Don't need to pull it, but go back to your request for a motion if there's other questions.
I'll move consent.
I'll second.
Jolene, please take the roll.
Yes, trustee Lee Reader,
Aye.
Reader, I Gilbert,
Aye.
Gilbert, I Abdus,
Aye.
Abdus, I Baines. Baines,
Aye.
Baines, I. Thank you. Brandis.
Brandis, I.
Brandis, I. Perez.
Aye.
Perez, I. Smith.
Aye.
Smith, I. Motion's approved.
Okay, moving on to 6.1. Do we have any, Kevin, staff presentation?
Um, uh, Not much. This is just the committee recommendation. We do this every January after the president and vice president are selected in December. And so in consultation with President Lee Reeder, we have in her recommendation and reaching out to various trustees, these are the committee assignments that have been come up with for, I'm sorry, I didn't relabel the table, but this is actually 2023, not 2022. It's all been updated, and sorry in my haste. Anyway, this is for 2023, and these are the recommendations. So staff recommends the board review and consider approval of trustee committee assignments.
Okay, I'll open for public comment. Hearing none. Public comment is closed at this time. Can I entertain a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second. Board Secretary, can you please take the roll?
I don't think we caught who was the original motion. I'm sorry, I didn't see.
It was Ed.
Oh, motion by trustee Perez, second by Lee Reeder. And now, yeah, Jolene, take the roll.
Thank you. I'm trustee Lee Reeder.
Aye.
I. Gilbert.
Aye.
Gilbert, I. Abdus.
Aye.
Abdus, I. Baines.
Aye.
Baines, I. Barandis.
I.
Barandis, I. Perez.
Aye.
Perez, I. Smith.
Aye.
Smith, I. Motion's approved.
Jolene, real quick before we move on to the next thing, if you could today, please notify Safeca and Lindy of the Safeca committee assignments and make sure that the trustees are added to the distribution list for future meetings. I know they have a meeting next week for Safeca Board of Directors. And so Lindy will need to know that Nick and Jag are the primary, with the alternates being Lee Reeder and Barandis.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay. Item is approved. On to the next, no closed session items, right? So I'll entertain a,
Well, just real quick, 7.1 is just committee meeting minutes. Elena, if there are any questions, we only had the one committee meeting, the executive committee. So that's it. Just wanted to point it out.
yeah, we'll revive everything after this. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Ready for
Jillian,
vote?
will you take the roll? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Trustee Lee Reeder.
Aye.
Lee Reeder, I. Gilbert.
Aye.
Gilbert, I. Abdus.
Aye.
Abdus, I. Baines.
Aye.
Baines, I. Barandis.
I.
Barandis, I. Perez.
Perez, aye.
Perez, I. Smith.
Aye.
Smith, I. Motion's approved.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you everyone for your attendance, and we'll be speaking soon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Evan.
Bye-bye, everyone.